Discover the heartwarming twist, how a nurse's unexpected blind date changed a CEO's life forever. Emily rushed into the bustling town hall, her heart pounding with the weight of her responsibilities and the warm glow of flickering candlelight. The aroma of homemade pies filled the air, wrapping around her like an embrace. She had barely finished a 12-hour shift at the hospital, but here she was, determined to support her community. As a nurse, every day was a whirlwind, shuttling from caring for critically ill patients to worrying about her aging parents who needed her just as much. Tonight, though, she was ready to be among her neighbors, surrounded by familiar faces and heartfelt laughter. Across town, in a modern high-rise, Jack adjusted his impeccable tie, glancing briefly in the mirror at his sharp reflection. The CEO of a booming tech company, he had everything the world deemed successful but felt a gnawing emptiness beneath his polished exterior. As he prepared for the charity event, he sighed. This was merely a performance, a chance to show his peers he cared about something other than profits. Yet, deep down, he longed for genuine connection, something that seemed elusive in his cutthroat world. Their paths collided amidst the laughter and clinking glasses at the town hall. A well-meaning friend, unaware of the unlikely pair's stark differences, assumed Emily and Jack were perfect for each other, and the blind date was set. Emily, with her kind eyes and nurturing spirit, masked the exhaustion behind her smiling facade. Jack, with his slick charm and charisma, tried to ignore the rustling unease in his gut. Over dinner, prepared with locally sourced ingredients, they shared stories, some light, others heavy. Emily found herself recounting tales of her late brother, a devoted veteran whose path was shaped by sacrifice and valor. Her voice grew thick as she spoke, memories tinged with bittersweet pride. Jack listened, captivated, the weight of her experiences striking a chord deep within him. He had never truly considered the people behind the stories, the courage woven through everyday lives, but just as the tenderness of the evening wrapped around them, Jack's insensitivity slipped out in an offhand comment. "You really don't have to work so hard. You could just take it easy." Emily's face fell, hurt flashing in her eyes. "That's easy for you to say. I had a brother who mentored you in college. He fought for our freedom, while you've only climbed the corporate ladder." The tension thickened, her words hung in the air, powerful, raw. Jack's facade cracked, an unexpected sense of humility dawning. Before they could dive deeper, Jack's phone buzzed insistently. A corporate crisis loomed, and he suddenly faced the weight of his choices. Profit or people? The decision hammered at his chest, echoing in his ears. One call could define his legacy, and his heart raced, knowing it could also alter this moment with Emily forever. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The air thickened with unspoken words and flickering hopes. Emily stood resilient, embodying the perseverance and familial loyalty of 1,000 lives lived in the shadows of sacrifice. Jack cradled the phone, torn, a reflection of the man he yearned to be against the man he had become. Could he reclaim that depth he sought, the path of integrity that led away from self-serving ambition? As he looked back at Emily, the warmth of their emerging connection ignited a possibility he never knew existed. Would he choose the path of true service, not only to his company, but to the community he had neglected? The moment hovered, brimming with potential. The phone buzzed again, and Jack had to decide. Jack stared at the relentless glow of his phone, the buzzing noise interrupting the delicate atmosphere of the town hall. He felt the weight of Emily's gaze, a quiet intensity that begged for his attention. For a moment, all he could see was the flashing screen, a desperate reminder of the corporate world he had built, a world that now felt like a gilded cage. His fingers hesitated, poised over the phone's surface. I can't just ignore this," he finally murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. But even as he spoke, a sense of betrayal tugged at him. Would abandoning this moment with Emily for the sake of profit be a choice he could live with? Emily shifted in her seat, the flickering candlelight casting faint shadows across her features. "I understand," she said softly, but her eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a flicker of disappointment. "It's just, sometimes it's hard to see what's truly important." "Isn't it?" The words sliced through the air like a cool breeze. Jack felt his heart race, not for the corporate crisis waiting for him, but for this connection. They were just beginning to forge a connection that could ground him in humility and purpose. He placed the phone softly on the table, choosing to confront the chaos later. "Let's take a moment," Jack suggested, his voice steadier now. "I want to hear more about your brother. You mentioned he was your mentor. What did he teach you?" Emily's expression transformed, surprise blooming into a soft smile. She leaned in, the trauma of the past weaving into her storytelling. "He always believed in the power of kindness. He thought it was the one thing that could truly change the world." Her voice trembled slightly, and Jack realized that this discussion was transforming them both. It was no longer an impersonal date, it was two souls laid bare, seeking authenticity. As she spoke, Jack felt the contours of his life shifting once again. Her words resonated within him, awakening a stirring sense of purpose he had buried beneath deadlines and meetings. Time slipped away, and soon they were lost in conversation, laughter interspersed with the more profound questions of life. Yet even as they bonded, the weight of the outside world loomed large. Jack remembered the impending crisis at his company, a ticking clock that detoured their conversation. Was it fair to let Emily in while shadows of his professional life crowded around him? He grappled with the thought, a storm brewing within. At last, the dinner plates were cleared, and they both took a breath. The candles flickered gently, emphasizing the intimate atmosphere that now stretched between them like a fragile thread. Jack leaned back in his chair, feeling the energy in the room shift once more. What if he hesitated, his future suddenly sparking with possibility? What if I could use what I've built for something good? What if this company could do more than just make money? Emily's eyes glimmered with anticipation, hope flickering like the flames dancing around them. "That sounds exactly like the kind of change the world needs. We need more people willing to step outside their comfort zones." Her words echoed deep inside him, igniting a determination he hadn't felt in years. Just as he started to formulate a plan, a future laced with both ambition and purpose, a sudden crash from outside shattered the moment. The doors flew open, gusting in a rush of chilly air, as a frantic figure rushed into the hall. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and all eyes turned toward the commotion. Jack's heart sunk, dread lacing through him. What had happened? And how would this affect the fragile connection blossoming before him? He locked eyes with Emily, seeing the same concern mirrored in her gaze. Would their moment of transformation slip away now into the chaos? As fear twisted with hope, Jack knew he had to make a choice, not just for his company, but for Emily and the community that awaited a leader with heart. With a surge of resolve, he stood, ready to face whatever storm awaited him. Would he do the right thing? Would this moment define him? Jack stepped into the chaos with a heavy heart, his pulse quickening as he assessed the frantic scene unfolding before him. The figure at the entrance was a nurse, her scrubs marked with splashes of color that somehow seemed bright against the anxiety that radiated from the crowd. She looked around, her eyes darting from one face to another, searching for something or someone. "Help!" she cried out, her voice full of urgency. "We need someone with a phone. A serious accident just happened down the road." In that instant, the bubble of intimacy he shared with Emily popped. He glanced back at her, searching for a hint of reassurance. Her face had turned pale, but her eyes held steady, urging him to act. Without thinking, Jack's feet moved. He pushed towards the nurse, his mind racing to process the situation. Maybe this was the storm he had to face, a call to action that could redirect his corporate ambition into something far more significant. "Right here," he said, pulling his phone from his pocket. "What do you need?" "Call for paramedics. I don't know how many are hurt, but it's bad," she said, glancing over her shoulder. A car crashed into a group of pedestrians. It's terrible. As the nurse spoke, Jack's hands trembled. He couldn't do anything about the accident, but he could help medical professionals reach those who needed them. He called the emergency services, his voice steady as he relayed details. The sound of sirens filled the air just moments later. In the distance, a beacon of hope. "Stay here, please. We need as many hands as possible," the nurse said, desperation seeping into her tone. Jack saw the way she looked at him, needing his support, and the weight of her gaze pinned him in place. This was bigger than corporate profits and boardroom deals. This was life, and the very essence of community. "I'm with you," he replied, his voice firming. He could feel Emily's presence behind him, a quiet strength reminding him that he was not alone in this. Jack turned towards her, and though the moment had shifted, the connection they started to build still flickered between them. "Are you okay?" he asked, his heart aching at the worried look on her face. I'm fine. Just scared," Emily admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "But it's important we do something." She stepped closer, determination setting her features in a resolute expression. "Let us help. I trained as a volunteer a while back, I can do something." He felt a surge of admiration for her bravery. Here they were, two people whose lives had intersected just hours ago, suddenly united in a profound purpose. Emily radiated compassion, and Jack could feel it seep into him as he lifted his chin, igniting a sense of resolve deep within. Together, they followed the nurse outside, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The air was thick with tension, yet the world felt alive. As ambulances arrived, the atmosphere quickly crescendoed with first responders jumping into action, a dance of life-saving urgency unfolding. Yet amidst the chaos, Jack couldn't shake a thought lingering at the back of his mind. What if he made this his mission? What if he turned his company into something that supported local communities during their times of need? The echoes of Emily's words swirled around him, fueling a vision he hadn't yet dared to fully embrace. In the midst of this tumult, he caught Emily's eye again, and for a second, everything else faded away. There was something between them that felt like a promise, a new beginning waiting to bloom even amidst the debris of the crisis. As they supported the nurse in coordinating efforts, Jack realized this moment was only the start of his transformation. Could he balance the call of his heart with the demands of his company? And would Emily stand beside him along this uncertain journey? Answering those questions would hold the key to everything. What he didn't know was just how far this twist of fate would take them both. As the sirens faded into the horizon and the night sky hung heavy with anticipation, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that change was on the horizon. Would they forge a path together beyond this night, one that could redefine their lives forever? The night air was electric, filled with the shouts of first responders and the distant wail of sirens still echoing in Jack's ears. He stood alongside Emily, their shoulders nearly touching, a shared intensity flowing between them. The chaos of the scene only amplified their awareness of each other, their hearts beat in sync, pulsing with raw urgency. "Over here." The nurse called, beckoning Jack and Emily closer as she directed a group of volunteers. "We need to set up a triage area. Grab the blankets from that truck." Jack nodded, knowing instinctively that action was the only way to channel the anxiety twisting in his gut. He moved swiftly to the truck, Emily at his heels, both of them darting through the crowd like butterflies in a storm. "Can you believe this?" Emily exclaimed, her voice strained but full of life. "I've never seen anything like it." Her eyes shone, not just with fear but also with a fierce determination to help. He turned to her, feeling gratitude swell in his chest. "Neither have I. But we're doing something, together. That's what matters." They worked side by side, ferrying blankets and supplies to the nurse, who was meticulously organizing the injured by severity. Every face they passed told a story of fear and uncertainty, yet Jack noticed something deeper, a flicker of hope in the collective struggle to recover. When they finally had a moment's pause, standing amidst a makeshift area full of injured people, Jack glanced at Emily. Her hair was tousled, cheeks flushed with exertion, but she looked resolute. I can't believe this is happening right outside our door, she said, shaking her head in disbelief. No one prepared for this, Jack replied, shaking his head slightly. But it feels like we're part of something bigger than just a random night. Just then, a man rushed towards them, his face stained with blood and panic. Please, my wife, she was hurt. I can't find her. His voice cracked under the weight of desperation. Without thinking, Emily stepped forward, her volunteer training flooding back. Where did you see her last? She asked, her voice calm and steady despite the chaos. Jack watched her in awe. She was a force of nature, whether she realized it or not. His admiration for her only deepened as they followed the man's frantic gestures, plunging back into the swirling haze of activity. Every step felt like a moment of reckoning. Jack was no longer just a businessman, he was a participant in a life-and-death drama, molded by the presence of someone by his side who ignited a fierce desire to make a difference. As they worked tirelessly searching, he pondered his future. Could he truly shift his focus from profits to purpose? The thought lingered in his mind like an echo of Emily's courage. Moments later, they located the woman, lying on a stretcher with paramedics hovering over her. Relief swept through the man, but Jack could see the shadows of worry still lingering in his eyes. Turning to Emily, he felt overwhelmed by their shared commitment. This moment would change them, he knew it in his heart. Jack, she began, her voice soft yet charged. What's next for us? After tonight? How do we go back? The question hung heavy between them. Jack felt all the weight of his aspirations press against him, battling with this newfound desire to be part of something greater. Before he could respond, a loud commotion erupted from the other side of the triage area. People started shouting, clumping together, urgency palpable in the air. What now? Jack muttered, pumping adrenaline coursing through his veins. Stay close. Emily shouted above the noise, her eyes wide with concern. As they moved to investigate, Jack couldn't shake the troubling sensations churning inside him. The night was changing everything, but how far would the ripple effect go? The next moment brought an unexpected twist, a crisis within the chaos that threatened to turn the aid effort upside down. Would they be able to face this together, or would their newfound bond be tested beyond their limits? The cries of distress grew more frantic, pulling Jack and Emily in a new direction. An ambulance had just arrived, its siren cutting through the cacophony like a knife. The back doors swung open, and a team of paramedics jumped out, their faces set with grim determination. We need room. Clear the area. One of them barked, pushing through the crowd. People instinctively parted, but the chaos didn't ease. Instead, it churned like a storm, fueled by fear and uncertainty. What is going on? Jack shouted as he and Emily squeezed closer. We've got multiple casualties coming in. We need to triage them fast. The paramedic replied, urgency painting his words. Jack's heart raced. This was bigger than anything he had imagined. He looked at Emily, whose brow was furrowed in concentration. We have to help. Let's create more space. They worked, side by side once again, urging bystanders back while helping the paramedics unload stretchers. Each stretcher carried more than just bodies. They carried stories, lives intertwined in moments of crisis, and Jack could feel the weight of it all pressing down on him. As the first patient was wheeled inside, a frail woman whose skin was slick with sweat and fear, Emily's focus sharpened. She turned toward Jack, her voice barely rising above the noise. We need to gather the volunteers and set up more stations. They'll need support down here. Jack nodded, his eyes searching the crowded area for a way to enlist help. But in the flurry of bodies, he caught sight of a boy, no older than 10, standing alone, wide-eyed and trembling. Fear gripped Jack's heart. What was he doing here? He moved toward the boy, feeling that familiar urge to protect, to shield. Hey there, buddy, he crouched so they were eye to eye. Where's your mom or dad? The boy shook his head, his lips quivering. I can't find them. I don't know where to go. Jack felt a surge of responsibility. He glanced back to see Emily organizing the volunteers like a maestro, her confidence in sharp relief against the chaos swirling around them. They were both trying to make a difference, and that realization ignited something deep within him. "Stay here with me. I'll help you look for them." Jack took the boy's hand, squeezing gently. They ventured further amidst the frenetic scene, weaving through clusters of people and medical staff. Every shout and cry began sinking into an almost familiar rhythm. "How can you be so brave?" the boy murmured, looking up at Jack with desperate hope. Jack paused, reflecting on the question. Was he brave? Or just reacting? He remembered how Emily had stepped up to help. It's not about being brave, but about trying to make things better for those who can't. Just as Jack spoke, a loud crash echoed behind them. A barricade of supplies had toppled over, spilling bandages and equipment everywhere. Startled, Jack turned to look, only to find Emily rushing towards him. "Jack!" she shouted, panic in her eyes. "We need to get everyone back. It's not safe here." His heart sank. The once manageable situation was unraveling fast. Witnessing the chaos, the boy clung to Jack's side, and the weight of his small hand squeezed tighter. Jack wanted to protect him, wanted to shield him from it all. "Stay by me," Jack said firmly, feeling the tension rise within himself. This wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about connection, about standing together even when everything seemed lost. As they worked to clear the area, Jack couldn't shake a feeling deep inside. With every frantic shout, every call for help, his life was shifting. He was at a precipice, and with Emily by his side, he felt they were about to leap into something greater, but would they be able to transform this night into a turning point for themselves and the people around them? The noise surged again, but this time, Jack felt something else rising too, a flicker of determination. What they faced next could either shatter everything they had worked for or solidify their bond forever. He turned to Emily, their eyes locking in mutual understanding. What would come next was still shrouded in uncertainty, but one thing was clear, they were in this together, come what may. And just as that thought crystallized, an unexpected revelation struck Jack. Maybe life could go on even after this night, beyond the fear and chaos if they dared to change. Jack's focus snapped back to the boy, whose eyes were darting around, panic-stricken. The crowd buzzed with confusion, gripping Jack with a firm hold of urgency. "Come on, we need to find your parents," he urged gently, scanning the chaotic scene for any sign of the boy's family. Just then, Emily appeared at his side, panting slightly but keeping her cool. "The paramedics need more hands. Can you hold things together here?" she asked, and without waiting for a reply, she started to weave through the crowd again. Jack nodded, taking a deep breath. He turned back to the boy, who seemed smaller in this whirlwind of chaos. "Let South stay close," he said, trying to keep his own voice steady. "What's your name?" "Ethan," the boy whispered, clutching Jack's hand tighter. "Okay, Ethan," Jack replied, giving him an encouraging smile. "Let us look for someone familiar, all right? Anyone who looks like they could be with you." As they moved, Jack felt every ounce of fear that surrounded them. It was a heavy weight, but he fought it. He couldn't let fear win. They sidestepped a group of volunteers rushing by, their faces taut with determination. "Look," Ethan said suddenly, pointing toward an older woman searching frantically through the crowd. Her eyes were wide, overwhelmed and full of dread. "That's her. I think that's my grandma." Jack's heart skipped. "Let us go." Together they sprinted toward the woman, who had not yet spotted them. As they drew closer, her gaze lifted, locking onto Ethan's small figure. "Ethan." Her voice cracked with relief as she rushed forward, arms outstretched. The boy broke into a run, and Jack watched as she enveloped him in a tight embrace, cradling him as if he were the world. Seeing that moment, pure and raw, sent a wave of warmth washing over Jack. He felt like he had done something important, that he had helped, even if just for that fleeting moment. Thank you," the grandma exclaimed as she looked up at Jack, tears shimmering in her eyes. You saved him. Just doing what I could, Jack replied, trying to brush it off, but the emotions were bubbling up inside him. Before he could dwell on that moment too long, he noticed Emily gesturing frantically from a few feet away. Jack! We need you. He turned toward her voice, confusion and urgency mixing in the air. She had gathered a few volunteers, their expressions a blend of fear and determination. We're losing control, she said, her voice lowered but resolute. The crowd is getting restless, we need to keep them calm. Jack's heart raced again, and he felt a shift within himself. This wasn't just about being brave, this was about leading, about keeping things stable when everything felt like it was spiraling out. Nodding, they moved together toward the center of chaos, hands up, urging people to take a breath, to stay calm. Everyone! Jack raised his voice higher, trying to break through the noise. We're here to help. Just stay calm, and let us do our job. Against the cacophony, some faces turned toward him, nodding hesitantly. The flicker of hope in their eyes echoed the determination he felt, but it was fleeting. With Emily beside him, they forged ahead. The surge of energy channeled through him seemed contagious. But then, a terrifying thought flickered in his mind. What if this chaos overwhelmed them? What if their resolve faltered? It was a haunting question, one he felt claw at his insides as they pressed on. Emily caught his eye, her brows knit together, as if she sensed his fear. We'll get through this. Just stay with me, she reassured him. In that moment, Jack felt an unexpected surge of gratitude. The warmth of their connection grounded him, and he decided he would not let this night define them, but with every shout and every cry that reached his ears, Jack realized he was navigating deeper waters than he ever expected. Would their resolve hold? Would they find the strength to endure? Or would the night take an even darker turn, as he faced the unknown, with Emily by his side and adrenaline coursing through him? One thought echoed, they had to keep moving forward whatever happened next felt like destiny waiting to unfold. Jack's heart thudded against his chest as he and Emily pushed deeper into the storm of anxious faces. The tightness in his throat was a constant reminder of the pressure weighing down on them. He couldn't afford to falter, not now, when everything felt so fragile. Jack, there's a family over there, Emily pointed, her voice steady amidst the turmoil. They weaved through the fabric of chaos, the crowd shifting like waves against a shore. Jack worked to channel his breathing, trying to still the rising panic inside him. As they approached, he saw the family, a mother holding two children, their faces streaked with tears. The sight struck a chord deep in him. Hey! You're all right, Jack said, kneeling beside them. I'm here to help. The mother looked at him with wide, weary eyes. We can't find my husband. He was right here. Her voice wavered between fear and desperation, but Jack could see the flicker of hope just behind her eyes. Let us retrace your steps, Emily suggested, her authority ringing clear. Can you remember where he was last? The mother nodded, her lips trembling as she pointed to the far end of the square. Jack turned back to the crowd. If anyone has seen a man in a blue jacket, please let us know. All the while, his own heart raced in response to the urgent need around him. Jack exchanged a quick glance with Emily, her look transforming from uncertainty to resolve. They both felt it, a shared determination enveloped them like a shield against the chaos. Just then, a loud crash made them jump. A metal barricade had toppled over, sending a ripple of panic through the crowd. Stay calm. We are here to help. Jack boomed, forcing his voice above the swell of anxiety. His words bounced back at him, a fragile anchor in the storm. Ethan's grandmother stood nearby, still cradling the boy, her face painted with concern as she watched Jack rally those around him. That urge to protect surged within him again. He had promised himself he wouldn't let fear guide them, instead, he would be the steady hand that reached out when everything felt like it was slipping away. As moments ticked by, Jack and Emily worked together seamlessly, delegating tasks to volunteers and keeping communication open through it all. They guided families toward a safer corner, where the sirens blared in the distance, drawing closer with every heartbeat. Then suddenly, a voice echoed behind him. I found him. A young man, breathless and frantic, burst through the crowd, dragging someone behind him. Jack's pulse quickened. Could it be? He turned, spotting a man in a blue jacket emerging from the throng, the mother's eyes lighting up like the dawn after a long night. She surged forward, collapsing into her husband's arms as relief cascaded over them. In that instant, a wave of emotion flushed through Jack. He realized the power of such brief moments, the connection between strangers, the shared fear, and the profound relief when loved ones are reunited. But just as Jack started to breathe, a loud shout cut through the air, drawing his attention. Look out! And it was then he saw a fire break out on the edge of the square, smoke spiraling into the night sky, darkness threatening to blanket everything once again. Jack's heart plummeted as adrenaline surged within him once more. We need to get everyone away from there now, he shouted, urgency flooding his voice. Emily nodded, her expression resolute. They dashed forward, ready to face whatever danger lay ahead. As the smoke rose higher, Jack felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. How could they protect everyone in the face of an unfolding emergency? In that moment of urgency, Jack knew they were no longer just guiding, they were now in a race against time. Would they manage to bring safety amidst the encroaching shadows, or had they entered a perilous trial that could define their fate? The crowd's tension hung thick in the air, punctuated by the crackling of the fire as it began to spread. Jack and Emily moved rapidly, shouting for people to evacuate toward the nearby alley, away from the flames licking hungrily at the wooden barricades. Over here. Keep moving. Jack waved his arms, trying to direct families as they stumbled through the panic. Each face he saw was a mixture of fear and desperation. Families were incomplete, separated, and his resolve hardened with each passing second. As they ushered people away, a little girl caught Jack's eye. She stood frozen, her hands clasped tightly around a stuffed animal. Tears streamed down her cheeks, making her look so small amid the chaos. Jack knelt down beside her, bringing their eyes level. Hey there, he said gently. What's your name? Lila, she whispered, her voice trembling, glancing back as if expecting a parent to come rushing to her side. The sight twisted Jack's heart. He remembered his little sister in similar situations, her quiet bravery in times of distress. Where are your parents, Lila? I don't know, she sniffed, her eyes wide with confusion and fear. Okay, we're going to find them, all right. He gave a smile, hoping to radiate reassurance. Can you help me? She nodded, understanding that though she felt small, she could still be brave. Jack took her hand and stood up, urging her gently to follow him. Let South stick close to Emily, okay? She's helping everyone. The sudden crack of something collapsing sent a jolt through him, and he looked back at Emily. She was alive with energy, rushing to grab anyone she could see, urging them to keep moving. He felt a surge of appreciation for her strength. As they made their way back towards the throng, Jack's heart sank again. How many others were stuck lost, waiting for help? The magnitude of the situation weighed heavily on him. The smoke thickened, casting shadows and filling the air with a scent of burnt wood and panic. Jack! Emily shouted. We need to split up. I'll take the right side, you do the left. Going! He yelled back, clutching Lila's hand tightly as he altered his course. They wove through the frantic crowd, scanning for distraught faces. Jack called out names, urging people to answer, hoping to reunite families scattered in the chaos. The dark clouds of panic were pushing down on him, and every face he passed felt like a testament to a personal story of loss. Please, can she just have a little bit of hope? He thought, desperation clawing at him. The world narrowed down around him, a desperate need to protect. Lila turned her gaze up at him, and something within him shifted. Lila, he began softly, crouching down once more to meet her eyes. If we find your mom or dad, what will you say? I would tell them I was brave. That's right. You are brave. He could feel the weight on his shoulders lift a little. We're going to get them. Together. Pushing onward, Jack felt moments escape them like grains of sand. He lifted his voice over the crowd, searching, calling, hoping. But the crackle of the fire grew louder, the situation felt more desperate by the second. Then, just ahead, amidst the chaos, he spotted a couple, faces etched with panic, frantically searching. His heart lurched. Could they be Lila's parents? Lila! He shouted, waving for her to come closer. I think I see them. They rushed forward, hope igniting in his chest, but as they neared, Jack felt doubt creep in. What if he was wrong? Would this be another moment, another false hope for a child in need? Never had he felt so perfectly positioned between joy and despair, determined to bridge the gap. Behind him, the smoke thickened, but Jack focused through the haze, his heart racing. What awaited them just beyond the crowd could change everything if only they could reach it in time. Would they reunite Lila with her family before the fire consumed it all? Jack pushed through the crowd, adrenaline pumping in his veins. Lila's small hand was like a lifeline, grounding him in the chaos. As they approached the couple, Jack noticed the frantic look in their eyes deepening. They were scanning the nearby faces, their expressions a mix of despair and hope. Please let this be them, he murmured, desperately willing the universe to cooperate. Lila! He called, urging her to quicken her pace. The couple, a man and a woman, turned towards them just as they reached the edge of the throng. Their eyes locked onto Lila, recognition sweeping across their faces. For a heartbeat, the world seemed to pause. Mom! Dad! Lila's voice broke through the noise, both a beacon and a prayer. They rushed forward, arms outstretched. Jack's heart soared. Their reunion was like a burst of sunlight through the smoke, even the flames seemed to retreat in respect. Lila threw herself into her mother's embrace, their tears mingling with relief and joy. Jack stood nearby, his own heart swelling as he witnessed this cherished moment, grateful to have been part of it. Thank you. Thank you. Her parents cried, hugging Lila tightly and then turning their grateful eyes towards him. We thought we lost her. It wasn't easy, he replied, feeling a warmth spread through him that eclipsed even the fire's heat. She was brave. Their gratitude enveloped him like a warm blanket. It felt good to know he had made a difference, even if just for a moment. But as he began to turn away, the sensation of relief was swiftly consumed by the need to keep moving. Multiple voices still echoed around him, panic interweaving with the rising smoke. Jack! Over here! Emily's urgent call sliced through the haze. He turned to see her weaving through the crowd, her hair flying wildly as she approached. What's happening? He asked, grabbing her arm. Are there more people stuck? Yes, loads, she said, her brow furrowed with concern. The firefighters can't access the back street. We need to guide everyone out before the flames spread further. But she hesitated, glancing back at the crowd. I can't do this alone. Jack nodded, determination hardening in his chest. Let us get them out, one group at a time. They worked side by side, urging families to move, directing anyone they could see. Each moment was an exercise in patience and speed. But the flames continued their greedy ascent, crackling dangerously close to the barricades. Fear prickled at Jack's skin, reminding him constantly of what was at stake. As he helped one more woman pull her children from the fiery jaws of panic, he wanted to scream that they needed to hurry. Time felt unforgiving. He started moving faster, adrenaline whispering commands to his limbs. Jack! Wait! Emily's voice pulled him back momentarily. We can't leave anyone behind. He glanced at her, understanding reflected in his eyes. They were a team, both committed to risking their safety for others. In that moment, something powerful stirred within him, a fierce pride in what they were doing. Together, they had already reunited Lila with her parents against the odds. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from behind, breaking through their dialogue. A building, weakened by the fire, was collapsing. "Get down!" Jack shouted, grabbing Emily and pulling her toward the side. They fell to the ground, the shockwave rushing past like a gust of wind. Dust and debris filled their lungs, the smoke curled tighter around them. As the chaos calmed and silence fell for a brief moment, Jack lifted his head slowly, scanning the wreckage. They had to get out before more buildings fell. "Emily, we need to." Suddenly, a muffled cry emerged from beneath the rubble. Jack's heart plunged. There was still someone there, trapped. This couldn't be happening. He exchanged a glance with Emily, both of them silently acknowledging the imminent danger. "Together?" she breathed, determination hardening her features. "Together," he echoed, their hands clasping tightly. As they moved toward the sound, grit and fear mingled in the atmosphere. Each step forward would demand sacrifice. Would they reach this lost soul before it was too late? With the fire crackling behind them, Jack pushed forward, feeling hope battling against despair once more. Where could this perilous journey take them next? Jack and Emily worked tirelessly, the air thick with tension and smoke. The muffled cries sent tremors of urgency racing through them. Every instinct screamed that they needed to act quickly. They pressed their shoulders against the debris, testing their strength against the impossible weight. "On three," Jack whispered, feeling Emily's grip tighten on his arm. 1, 2, 3. With all their might, they heaved against the rubble. It shifted but didn't budge enough. Doubt flickered in Jack's mind, but he pushed it away. This wasn't the time to falter. Breathless, they paused, scanning for any sign of the trapped person. "Can you hear us?" Jack called, his voice edged with desperation. A faint whimper answered him, and he felt like a candle reigniting with hope. "Hang on. We're going to get you out." Another cry pierced through the chaos. "Please, hurry." The urgency in that voice galvanized them into action. They readied themselves again, employing every ounce of strength they had left. Jack could feel the warmth of Emily beside him, invigorating him, their combined energy powering through the daunting task ahead. "Okay, push!" Jack yelled. This time, they lifted the debris with renewed vigor, shifting chunks of wood and metal until finally, they caught sight of a figure beneath a man, bruised and trapped, but alive. Relief washed over Jack like rain after a drought. "I see you. We're going to get you out." Jack shouted, a wave of determination surging through him. He and Emily quickly set about clearing the debris, carefully digging the man out from beneath the wreckage. "Just a bit more," Emily encouraged, her voice steady and filled with empathy. The man whimpered as the last of the rubble shifted. Finally, enough space appeared for him to wriggle free. With a gasp of effort, he pushed himself free, and in that moment, they were all three united by the urgency of the moment. Jack helped pull the man to safety, and they fell back, panting, hearts racing. The man blinked, disoriented but alive, thankful. "Thank you, I thought I was done for," he murmured, eyes darting between Jack and Emily. "Just doing what we can," Jack replied, his chest bursting with pride and adrenaline. The act felt monumental, a defining moment that anchored his resolve to make a difference beyond this night, a new purpose blossoming within him. But the danger still loomed. The flames were spreading, the cries and chaos continued. "We need to get him out of here," Emily said, her brow furrowed in concentration. Together, they helped the man to his feet, supporting him as they began moving through the chaos. "I know a path," Jack said, leading them toward the alley, his mind racing with frantic energy and aching limbs. Emily stayed close behind, her strength bolstering them as they maneuvered through the scattering crowd. "Keep going," Jack shouted to the people around them, guiding them toward safety. Every step was a measure of hope against despair. Their mission became clear, helping each other, standing strong together. As they reached safety, the chaos began to recede. Families were reuniting. Jack looked over at Emily, their eyes connecting in a moment that felt suspended in time. They had fought through fear, heartache, and danger together. The sirens blared in the distance, drawing closer, signals of help arriving. For the first time, he felt grounded, a sense of purpose washing over him, something beyond himself, beyond profits and business. "Jack," Emily said, breaking through his thoughts. "We did it. Look at all these people, they're safe." Jack turned to survey the scene, an overwhelming swell of emotion flooding him. "And we can keep helping them, Emily," he said, a passionate seriousness filling his voice. "This can't be the end. There is so much more we can do." She nodded, fire rekindling in her spirit. "I believe we can turn this into something. We can reach out to our community together. This can change everything." As they stood on the cusp of dawn, a newfound sense of hope filled their hearts. They were not just two people caught in a storm, they were a spark, igniting change. And while the night had tested their resolve, it had also awakened their hearts together. They would move forward, united in a journey that promised transformation, not only for themselves but for the community they cherished. The worries that once clouded Jack's mind lifted. He would no longer serve solely the demands of corporate life. He would devote himself to rebuilding lives, to infusing kindness into every venture he pursued. Reality sunk in as they took in the morning light flooding the treetops. This was their chance. They reached for each other's hands, a silent pact of resilience and loyalty. "Jack," Emily said, her eyes radiant. "Let us create a future where kindness leads the way." His heart brimming, Jack replied, "I'm all in." Finally, they forged a path together into the rising sun, ready to embrace change. The journey ahead would undoubtedly be challenging, but it was one they would face together, their connection a beacon of hope for the future. This was the moment they had both been waiting for, the beginning of something beautiful, wrapped in courage and intention. Their hearts beat in tandem, anchored in the belief that transformation was possible, one compassionate act at a time. And as they stepped forward into their new mission, they knew this was only the beginning. Now, it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. The support makes a world of difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey of change. This is the moment to show your support and be part of a community that values kindness and connection. Don't wait not even one more second to share. You need to be part of this family.